Hi, Morgan.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just great.
Okay, good. You ready to answer these questions?
I'm ready.
All right. So, you are a dental student, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, your first question is what inspired you to get into the dental field and just healthcare in general?
Okay, so basically, what inspired me to get into the dental field was my passion to help others. I also love how dentistry is like your first overall look into someone's overall health. It's a very vital part of people's confidence and things of that nature. So I really felt like the dental field was for me. Also, as you guys can see, I love to smile. It's something that helps brighten up people's day. And I hope that if we just keep working on improving everyone's smile, the world would just be a better place.
I love that. Most definitely is the key to your confidence.
Yeah.
So, how did you cope with all the work and long hours that are needed for this field?
So one, with a lot of prayer. I definitely have to get a good prayer in every time before I study. Studying does take a toll on you because your brain is a muscle. So I basically just pray a lot and I just remember my why. So I remember why I'm doing this. I remember my patients. I remember my family. I remember why I'm going so hard to achieve like the title of DDS behind my name.
Mhm.
So I just think remembering my why is how I stay focused and I cope with all the long hours of studying.
That's definitely a great answer. So speaking of all that, like what did you have to do differently? I know like you might have had friends, you had a lot going on. What did you do differently than your friends to like stay into it and stay focused?
So I would give myself grace. So some weekends I would allow myself to go hang out with my friends so I didn't have too much fear of missing out. But also I had to stay focused and I did have to miss a lot of fun events. I had to miss birthday parties. I did have to miss a couple funerals just to make sure that I kept my mental straight. So I kind of just had to set myself up and understand that I did have to miss out on a couple things, but it would be with good reason and it will pay off in the long run. So that's why I did.
Yeah, this month is definitely paying off.
Hope so.
So you kind of already answered the question, like how you stay focused on that path. But if you can say anything else about staying focused, or like what is some advice you give to someone else that's looking to pursue this career, and what do they need to know about staying focused?
So something that I would say that people who are trying to pursue the dental field or any healthcare field in general, I would say definitely um, view multiple career choices in the healthcare field to see what you're most passionate about. For example, when I was younger, I became a pharmacy technician in high school in order to basically see, like, okay, I kind of was dipping my toes into the healthcare field, seeing what was for me, what wasn't for me. Along that journey, I then found the dental field. Healthcare is holistic, so all healthcare fields somehow intertwine and touch each other and work together. All healthcare professionals will work together at some point. So I just feel like finding your path and then finding that passion within you to pursue that path is really how I would recommend to stay focused. I would definitely try to get into some research on your field, do community services in like healthcare clinics or dental clinics, and just finding a mentor who can help guide you and show you along the way. Try to find a mentor who's one step ahead of you, and then also a mentor who is in the field
Mm,
of your desired choice. So I feel like that's something really important that I always love to touch on. So when I say one step ahead of you, for example, if you're a high school student, I recommend finding a college or undergraduate student who's pursuing that field. Or if you're an undergraduate student, I recommend finding a dental student or a med student, pharmacy student who's pursuing. And if you're a dental student, you definitely should have a doctor that you look up to, especially
mhm.
if you've been shadowing throughout your time in undergrad. So that's my advice.
Okay, and you did mention research, so I want to know like what is what is something that you would say people pursuing this should research prior to going into the field that you're going into? Like, what do they need to know before? What will get them a step ahead?
Okay, so what I recommend is researching the different universities that you are interested in applying to, and then from there trying to meet all their prerequisites, because every university does have different prerequisites. So if you're looking into getting, for example, into Howard, Howard does require for you to take anatomy, but a lot of other dental schools don't require for you to take anatomy. So if you wanted to be a competitive applicant and be prepared for your application process here at Howard, you would want to take that anatomy course so you're not backtracking and trying to do it later. So just staying one step ahead. So if you know that your next step is to apply to dental school, make sure that you start that. Like I started my application from my first day of undergrad as a freshman. I joined the Pre-Dental Society. I charted an organization called Black Women in Medicine. I had the opportunity to volunteer at many clinics throughout Florida. I also hosted an initiative like bag lunch drives, dental supply drives. So just really immersing yourself into the field that you're interested in and just finding different ways to be helpful when you're applying, that will definitely set your application apart. And just find your passion and then just go hard. Like just go hard for whatever you're passionate about. Even if it's not as serious. Like for example, I was on a dance team, but on my dental application, I got to speak about how like I would do different initiatives for community service through the dance team, which were still dental related. So find a way to make all your passions just flow.
Dope answer. So I hear you speak a lot about passion, and I can just see like this energy radiating from you. And I also see that you speak a lot about the importance of knowing what you want to do and knowing like, you know, just how important it is to be into what you're doing. So I want to know like, what characteristics do you think other people should have like coming into this?
So I definitely think some characteristics for any healthcare provider should definitely start with compassion and empathy. This kind of surrounds emotional intelligence. I think it's very important to be able to kind of relate with your patients, understand the pains and the frustrations that they're going to, because that will also help you have more patience and understanding with them. I think it's very important to be knowledgeable. You want to definitely make sure that you're competent and you're well versed in your field so that you can give the best care possible. Something else that I think is that you should be, what's one more? I think you should be passionate. When you're passionate about the field that you're going into, you give your best all the time. You always do your best work. It's not about the money. It's not about the lifestyle that you could have. Those are all, they're amazing factors. But at the end of the day, when you're a healthcare provider, your main job is to provide. So when you have that passion, you have that drive, that will, that'll make sure that you give the best care to your patients, which will then lead to those things. But you want to make sure that that's at the forefront of your brain.
Yeah. Great answer. I can tell that you have the compassion when it comes to your patients, and just I know that you will have that going into it. And I just want to say, or ask you like, what are some of the challenges that you faced, like studying, researching, and what are some of the challenges that you already know that you may face going forward, and how do you plan to overcome those? How have you overcome the ones that you've already encountered?
So I feel like my biggest challenge just overall throughout my experience of pursuing the dental field is pretty much imposter syndrome. I feel like that's like a big factor in a lot of decisions and stuff that I make. And sometimes I'm like, am I qualified enough? Can I do this? Like I kind of doubt myself in some aspects, but I always try. So even when I have those doubts, having that mental strength to overcome those doubts and still put my best foot forward, put my best application out there, go for whatever desires that I have, that I always prove myself wrong. So I always find a way to push through that imposter syndrome and still go for the things that I feel that I deserve and the things that I really want to achieve like throughout this time. So even like, for example, when I was applying to dental school, I didn't receive the score that I really wanted or the score that I felt like was competitive enough to get into dental school. However, my application was already submitted, so I had to do it anyway. But so the application was already submitted, so the schools got my score, and I was like, OMG, I was like in distress because I was like, I just don't think that I'm a competitive applicant enough. And I got into my top 3 choices of dental school, and that was with a score that I didn't even want. So just kind of like proving myself and just overcoming that. Like I feel like if my application was not already submitted, I might have not submitted it. So it was good kind of the way that the flow of things happen, but just kind of proving yourself like you can do it and having that confidence, you know, in yourself.
Confidence is definitely key. And I feel like a lot of people aren't really confident to go into their fields, but you know, you develop that confidence over time. So that's really important and good that you say that. So like, since you're speaking a lot about confidence, what advice would you give to someone embarking on their journey as a dental student?
Okay, so my advice would be to be the best version of yourself. You can only be the best version of you. Don't compare yourself to other applicants. Run your own race. It's you versus you, me versus me, like Lil Baby said. So just make sure that when you're doing things, you're putting your best foot forward every time. You're not putting the best foot of somebody else. So if your 10% is somebody else's 9%, you give it all your percent that you have. A lot of times when I was in undergrad, I would be like, OMG, this person's doing this, that, and the third. I should be doing this, that, and the third. But like, I'm not as passionate about it. So I couldn't do what they could do in their race, in their own lane. So I had to find my own lane of what I was passionate about. For example, I'm not like a big researcher. Like studying, you know, molecules, genes, that's not really my thing. But a lot of people are under the impression that in order to get into dental school, you have to do some strenuous research project. No, you do not. I did a public health research project, and it was more around my realm. It was more about just seeing healthcare disparities in the Tampa Bay area. So I found a way to run my own race while also still doing different prerequisites and different, you know, things to make my application more competitive. So finding your own lane, sticking to it, and just finding what works for you.
That's good. So you mentioned disparities in a certain community. So I wanted to know, how important do you feel it is to have more Black doctors or minority doctors in the healthcare field? Like, how do you feel about that?
I feel that it's very, very, very important. This is why in undergrad, I did charter an organization called Black Women in Medicine, where we basically did have the opportunity to bring all future Black healthcare providers together under one organization. And we all kind of like motivate each other. We gave each other resources, things of that nature. We had speakers. It's very important to have representation in the healthcare fields and all healthcare fields, especially as minorities, because we understand each other a little bit better. We're able to go, you know, feel each other a little bit more. So I feel like it's very important. Like, for example, at dental school, there's a lot of Spanish speaking patients. And sometimes I feel like even I can't give them the best care because there's a language barrier. So it's like, you know, African Americans, we have our own language. We understand each other in ways that other races may not be able to. So that's just an example as to why it's so important to have all races in every field, so that you can make sure that everyone's getting the care.
I love that answer. That is very important to me as well. I totally agree with you. And to my last question, I just want to know, well, this is really a bonus question. Like, what are you hopeful for your future in your field? Like, what are you hopeful for?
So I'm actually really hopeful to just start practicing as a dentist and just start changing people's lives through their smiles. I've wanted to be a dentist for years now. So it's actually like amazing. Like, it's just amazing to actually be living in moments that I used to dream about. So I'm really excited to reach that next step and get my DDS and start being able to practice and see patients. It's actually my third year of dental school. So I have started seeing patients this summer, which has been an amazing experience. So I'm just excited to keep furthering my education, my knowledge, and just reaching a place where I feel like competent enough to just provide and give the best care possible to all my future patients.
Awesome. Well, great job, Morgan. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for taking the time out to speak with me and also give advice to anyone who's looking to pursue what you're pursuing now. And we can't wait to see you shine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.